hello again. What do we have here? We have why I collect cheap lots even if they have broken stuff over the years, because one day you'll have something like this and you'll say, well, that's quite a nice model, but you've no wheels, no bumpers or anything, and one of the discharge chutes is broken. And you'll say, well, other than that, it could probably fix it. And then you look through your pile of other junk and you find this, which seems to have been burnt somehow. I guess a soldering iron. Well, it looked like two soldering iron. Oh, maybe it was whatever. It got someone. The previous owner had burnt it. It's the same wagon, and the base. Well, first of all, let's talk about what it is. It's a Trix Express wagon. You can tell by those gigantic wheels, made in Western Germany. Trix Express was a HO model system in Germany that kind of rivaled Märklin and Fleischmann. And it was a three-rail DC system. And the appeal of it was that it made robust models of German prototypes that generally always weren't very accurate. Sometimes they were. They got better as they went on. And the purpose for the three-rail DC was because you could run two trains on the same track in different directions. And if you added a catenary for an overhead electric locomotive, you could run three in three different directions on the same track. So that was its main appeal. You could have like tremendous amount of operating freedom on the models. Now, Trix Express stopped making models, I think, probably in the 80s or 90s, and they went to a thing called Trix International, and then they merged with Märklin, and as you've seen by my New York Central caboose, they make very good models today. So this is a classic German, what they call a bump wagon or a self-discharge wagon, and these are still found on German railways to this day. This type of wagon first showed up after World War II, and it generally carries ballast, but it carries other things like ore and whatever you want, even plastic pellets and so on. And they're still in service. This particular type, a modern version is still in service, but this particular type of it went out at, it's from the era 3, so 1945 to 1970. So right in the era I like to model, 60s, 70s European railways. And so this model was built in 1962, so it's 60 odd years old. So I have a fairly decent chassis, a fairly decent body. I'm going to take this body off here and put it on here, and they have screws on them, so that's nice. Then repair the broken chute with one of the chutes off the burnt wagon. As regards the chassis on this one, we have the ladders on either side, which is great. We have the discharge handles, the controls on either side, bent and burnt, but I have good ones here. Same for the other side, which is mostly good condition. And we have the two grab handles here, which is great. We have the foot steps, which can be straightened out. Now we have all the buffers, great. And we're missing this grab iron here from this side. I'm sure I can fabricate something to go there to replace that. And we're going to put on proper wheels and not these incredible monsters that Trix used for the express system, and decent couplers. And hopefully get something that looks like something that's suitable for my layout. I'm sure I probably can. The only thing I'm concerned about is that with the metal chassis, the wheels will have to be insulated somehow, so that at least one axle, I'm sure it'll be okay. They're not like Märklin where it can be the current goes through all the way. At least one, I think I can get away. I've got Lilliput wheels that both wheels are insulated, so they might be ideal for this. Hopefully they'll fit okay. So let's get down to it. First thing, we have to unscrew the bodies from the chassis. So I've started taking them apart. I removed the screws from the bottom that was holding the plastic body to the metal chassis. On the one that was burnt, I removed the discharge handles and valve. They're still good on here, so I'm going to have to find a way to glue this onto there. Shouldn't be too hard. However it goes. And I'm going to I don't like this grab iron here. It just looks so brutal and heavy, so I might completely replace it. Now the buffers shouldn't be any. This is the chassis I'm keeping, so the buffers stay on there. And if I was to remove them, as far as I know, Trix buffers, look at that, they are screwed in. You know, it's like amazing the Germans get it so right in this way. Look at that, they're micro thread. I don't know if you can see that, but they've got micro threads on them. So if you had to, they've actually been, you know, they've actually used a tap and die to put the buffers in, and the buffers also hold in the buffer beam. So in there is like a miniature tap and die was done too, and they, you know, that's some seriously well-made stuff. So the first thing I've got to do is, this is the good one, but it has the broken discharge hopper on this side, and that's this one here, which is in not the best nick. You can see that it's damaged, so I can't use the matching one. I'll try taking this one off using the razor saw. Now you see I'm kind of impeded here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop off these guys. I need to get in the awkward part in here. It might be easier using a knife just to get in enough. I think this upper part will be hidden inside the chassis, but as best as I can, I want to get the whole thing out. It is coming, but this brittle plastic is a tricky thing. Whoop. And it falls on the floor. Okay, stage one seems okay. We got it off. It's come off in one piece. Now we have to get the other one off without damaging the good body. Bit nerve-wracking actually. People ask me why I use this kind of knife for a lot of my cutting instead of a craft knife. I do use like a craft X-Acto type knife as well. The reason why I use this is surely the strength. You can get proper force on this, so you can get in here and carve away things. It's almost like a chisel. It's like a combination of a knife and a chisel. These blades are much more affordable and easier to get. And you can see it paring away here, almost like I'm doing carving. And this holding it this way just gives you much more, you know, pounds per square inch to able to get in there and really push it. Okay, and that will glue on there after I we let the plastic weld the two pieces together. You think you're crazy for keeping something, you'll never find a use for that, like the burnt wagon, and then along comes another example with the piece that you need that you can cut off. And I say that we can just test fit it with this one first. Yep, you can see that's the repair I'm looking for. Do a little bit of. It seems that the chute on the burnt one, the one that was donated for this, is slightly warped, so it's not perfectly straight, but that won't be noticed when the chassis is put back on. I'm not going to fill in that gap there because it's going to be hidden. There's nothing on here really that I'll ever use again. I mean, that chute is broken, and I don't know if I'd ever want to do this project again, so it served me well. Now, these wheels are screwed in as well, you see? There's a screw on either side holds the wheel sets in. So it might be better to take them out, screw them out, try a new wheel set in there. And look at the flanges on these Trix wheels. Good grief. You know, you hear American modelers talk about pizza cutters. Check this out. That's the flange there on an RP25 American HO wheel. Look at that. It's about a millimeter off the wheel, the flange. Oh my god. Anyway, yeah, but these Trix Express models were made for running at speed. The track was was code 125. They were made for running at speed and having fun. Okay, these are the Lilliput wheels. Let's see if they fit. Be great if they did. They look a bit tight. They might work. So these Lilliput wheels, they were selling them on eBay about 10 years ago for a bag of like 40 for like 30 euros. They're double insulated. Each axle is insulated. They have a decent sized flange, so they won't derail, and they won't cause a short on your DC track between the positive and negative rails because they're insulated. So it looks like they will fit. Before I put them on, I want to fix out the steps here are a bit bent. I thought that was metal. It's actually a kind of a plastic. A very robust plastic, thankfully. So let's see if we can get these wheels to work first. The only thing I'd be concerned about, do you see there's a bit of a bulge there? They're a bit tight. Not, you know, massively so, but they're tight enough. I don't want to be getting to the situation where I'm filing down wheels and things like that. Yeah, the wheels are in, they look great, but they are stiff as anything. So, back to the drawing board. I found some wheels that fit and are free rolling, and I think they will go into... Yeah, they fit in nicely. They're beautifully free rolling. The only problem is I'm worried about a short. Now, they are insulated on one axle, but I've had problems with these kinds of metal chassis before. Okay, so the best thing to do will be just put the wheel in. Okay, just check that there's no short. They move about a bit, but they're secure and they're flying along. I just want to make sure there's no possibility of a short with this. I'll just test with my meter. Okay, it's working. Okay. Wheel. Okay. That's good, that's good. No short on the body. Good, okay. Yeah, that's good. I'm happy about that. Always remember to turn your meter off if you run the battery down. Okay, so the problem was that wasn't that the Lilliput wheels had longer axles. It was that you see how the Chinese, these are Chinese cheap import ones. Well, not cheap, but they're fairly inexpensive. You see how they're much more pointed. I don't know if you can see that. You see how the Chinese wheels are much more pointy, where the Lilliput wheels are a bit kind of, they're not so pinpoint, they're kind of rounded, almost like a stub end. So when they were going into the housing that fits the wheels, they were not going deep enough into the Trix express holes that were meant for, and where these ones are just absolutely perfect. It's amazing to think that this screw was probably tightened down here back in 1962 by someone who lived in Western Germany, as it says on the bottom. Beautifully free rolling. Okay, now that's glue, should be safe, and we can probably put this guy on. I have to see which side is which. I think with the ladder on this side. So consulting the photograph of the Trix original, it goes in this way. This side here that broke off is connects to this guy here, which I will try to glue on correctly. So he'll go on like that, and I'll try and clean him up too. So the first thing I got to do is I'll put this in here first. With our new, there we go. We have 4 clean discharge chutes. We're getting somewhere now. Okay, the ladder clips into this thing here on the end there to secure it. And the ladder on this end clips into the clip on the other side. There. And that's nice and secure. Wow. Look at that. We're getting there. Okay, I'm very pleased with it so far. You can see this handle, this step here is a bit damaged. Bent. It's just a strong plastic. And very forgiving, I must say. There, put that back in. So, next thing we got to do is I got to get these guys here. This is the one for this side. I can tell by the studs are on this side. I've got to cut that there. I've got to clean that off, and I've got to find a way to glue this on. Oh, they've thought of everything, the clever Germans at Trix. The bottom of this slips into the slot on this here, which will make me gluing this back very easy. Well, you know, easy. Best laid plans and all that. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I've got to see if we're getting this, first of all, this glue out of here. Lovely, it came out so easy. So I've got to cut that on this side of here. Good. And then what I'll do is I will work on replacing these. Now I'm thinking of, that one goes in lovely as it is, but I fortunately don't have another one. I'm thinking again this grey piece of wire and flattening it if I can, and maybe trying to fabricate it from this. The angle is always tricky on these things, the angle of the bend. These are not restorations, these are to get the model restored to a working model on the layout in service, not to bring it back to factory condition. Everything I do is, in terms of my own modeling, is like this. Yep, just eyeballing that should be, it seems close enough. When the glue is set, I'll be able to shape the handle a bit better, the grab iron a bit better, but that's good enough for me. When it's all painted up, it'll be fine. Okay, so this is still drying here. I won't risk that one yet. I'll do this one here for the other side first. So maybe I can trim this off with this. I don't want to remove it if I can't help it. There's a micro gap there. I wonder, could I fill it with glue? Okay, one side. So we've successfully restored the grab irons and the discharge handles. The wheels are fine, the buffers are fine. We've got this guy fabricated somewhat. Good enough for what I need. You won't notice it. You won't notice much difference when it's painted. I'm not a purist. So what we have left now is the buffers, and there's a buffer slot here, and then I'm going to paint the whole thing in oxide brown. And here it is, the final model. I have to say I'm pretty pleased overall. The buffers, you can see, are painted grey at where they make contact. The couplers are put on. I painted the entire thing in the oxide color, and the lower area I give a black wash to that. I popped out the details with a white marker and put a new Deutsche Bahn, what they call a lozenge or a biscuit logo, because that sits in with the 1960s, 70s, 80s period I like to model. I have to say, considering what I started with and what I have now, I have a nice model from two pieces of basically trash. So I hope that inspires you to hold on to everything you have and, enjoy your modeling fully. It's a lot more fun than just spending money. This is a lot of fun for a lot less money. Thank you and take care.